So, so there we are. Good afternoon, good morning, I would say at your end,
Good morning.
Kara. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening is evening at my end. Um, so today with me, I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes for the audience to build up. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. It's a little bit funny though sometimes. YouTube is LinkedIn is very, the views are very limited. But then if you look at Facebook, you can have like 500 people watching it, but on LinkedIn maybe like five, and then it's a lot in YouTube as well. So today we're going to talk about something that excites me, um, which is parenting as a leadership role. So um, for me, before I introduce Kara Tyler to tell us a little bit what she do in her methodology and so on, um, what I have realized that as a father, as well as a executive manager or a coach from the professional side, is that there is no steeper learning curve in leadership than your very first frontline leadership position. When you become a leader or a manager for the first time, and perhaps the only comparable experience, right, in terms of needing to hit the ground running and quickly, is this one of parenting. Because when you become a father or a mother for the first time, you have no previous experience, you were given no training, you can't quit, you know, and people's lives are at stake, literally. So leadership, is about mobilizing people towards valid goals, building trust, and inspiring them to move with you to a better future, right?
Right.
So it starts with identifying a vision, shared future vision rooted in core values. So leaders do that in organization of all kinds, including families. And for me, a family is an organization. So with me today, we have Cara Tyler, all the way from the US. Which state? Where are you exactly?
I am in Vermont, teeny tiny northeastern state.
Northeastern, that's right. I think it's beautiful, Vermont.
It's beautiful.
Um, Cara is an early childhood educator and conscious parenting expert. So today we're going to discuss ways that frontline leadership is a lot like parenting. We're going to also share ideas of what does it mean to be a parent who leads. Maybe we're going to share some reasons why not enough parents think of themselves as leaders. And then Cara will share a methodology that involves a parenting GPS, a personalized PMS, parenting mission statement that helps parents reach their GPS, which I'm quite excited, to be honest, to find out more so I can better support my family. So, Cara, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, thanks so much for having me here today. What an honor to be sharing time with you and space with people who follow you. So I am Cara Terrell, and I'm the founder of Core for Parenting, and we offer a parenting toolkit for people who are pregnant and expecting all the way up through 5 years old. And our job is to help you and teach you to be your child's first and best teacher. So, my background is I'm a lifetime lover of littles. I have connected with tiny people since I was one myself, and I followed my intuition to get my education in multiple areas that allowed me to serve these little people during their earliest years. So, I'm a certified teacher, I have a master's degree in education and other bachelor's degrees in American Sign Language, linguistics, certifications in early reading. And I took all of these opportunities for learning, and I found myself in the classroom teaching kindergarteners, teaching preschool. And I loved
Mm-hmm.
every second of it, but I noticed there was a discrepancy, and these kids were not coming to school completely ready to be learners in every area of my classroom. knew their cognition, right? ABC, 1, 2, 3, colors, numbers. But the rest of it was a little bit wobbly for them. So I left teaching and I became a full-time nanny. And I spent
Okay.
the last 10 years testing my methodology in practice from birth with these kids until they went to a traditional education setting. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to bring it to the world so all parents can really use these strategies inside their home to create a kindergarten ready child.
Hmm. The concept of parental leadership uh, came to me when I first became a father.
Mhm.
But I think not enough parents today think of themselves as leaders. Parents naturally put leadership skills into practice all the time, motivate the children to do any given task at home, at school, study, eat your food, go to sleep, or maybe, I don't know, help them to overcome fears or, trying something new, go down the slide in the playground. But I realize that a lot of parents don't think of they tend not to think of their roles in these terms, partly because they have not been shown how to lead. Why do you think not enough parents today think of themselves as a leader?
Well, you really nailed it when you opened this conversation. We come to parenting with a big dream, and we've made it up in our head, right? We've waited 9 months for this child to arrive, and we have visions of what it's going to look like and what it's going to sound like and how wonderful it's going to be. But that's all they are, is visions. We come to
Hmm.
it with no training, with no continuing education, with no one giving us that model. Because who was our model? Our
Our
parents.
parents? Yes.
Our parents, exactly. If we're blessed to be someone who grew up with two parents our whole life, that doesn't necessarily mean that's still the model we want to follow. If there are broken homes and then those homes rebuild, you now have four adults who are influencing the young life that you had as a child,
Plus the grandparents.
plus the grandparents. You have all these facilitators, all these people who are trying to make an impact in your life, and maybe it's positive and maybe it's negative. And I tell parents every day, look back on your childhood and pick the pieces that you love and choose to include those in your parenting experience. But
Mm.
do not feel like you have to parent the way your parents did. This is your journey. You get to decide what it's going to look like.
Because I think it's a lot of my, especially the previous generation, a lot of parents were like, if we put the concept, it's like micromanagers, because yeah, really, because as busy parents, we often default to act like micromanagers, focusing our attention on scheduling, to-do lists, making sure that nothing falls through the cracks. But parents today often don't think of themselves as leaders because it's hard, I think, because day-to-day stuff, busyness, of the day, it is hard to take a step back from the day-to-day to shift our mindset and
Mhm.
behaviors from reactive to proactive, just like the best leaders do. Because sometimes, if you're a manager and a leader or a leader, you are working in the company, you are working in the team. But sometimes you have to take a step back, take a helicopter view,
Mhm.
and see what are we doing and where are we going. What do you think?
You nailed it. Reactive versus proactive parenting is the crux of what we talk about at Core 4. And there are ways to be a healthy, interactive, reactive parent. There are times we just have to problem solve, right? There's a crisis, it
Yes.
needs solving, we need to resolve it. There are ways to do that. But the crisis resolution model that most parents find themselves in is what you described. The fires are popping up all day long, they're putting them out, but they're not using healthy strategies to do it. So those fires are just going to pop back up again over and over. So proactive parenting comes from a place that's very similar to that executive model that you just shared. That we have a goal. We have a goal to be in relationship with our people. And in this case, our people are our kids. We
Yes.
have to be in relationship with them. And the core four connectors, if we adopt them, ask us to have an open communication relationship with our kids, to cultivate a home environment that has respect and honesty and implied trust that they can believe what we're saying and doing, and we can believe that they'll be part of it with us. Collaborative problem solving is key.
You talk about strategies. Before I come into this, something that I teach, it's interesting actually. The more you think, the more someone thinks their role as a parent, as a leader, the more similarities you can find. Like one of the things I teach when I coach executives is that, as I say, a successful manager, a successful executive should be able to balance three things: results, ego, and relationship. Because
There it is.
if you are too much results driven, you will drive your people crazy. If you're too relationship driven, you will become too friendly and people may not, your employees might not take you seriously. And if you're too egoistic, people won't want to work with you. How this came to my mind from what you said about trust, about collaboration, and about strategy. So what are some strategies that parents can take to raise mentally healthy kids?
So, the biggest piece of interaction that we have with any human being and we're in relationship is the language that we use. The way
Ah,
we use our words, the tone that we
communication.
choose, communication. Yeah, at that deep, deep level of how we choose our words and what our meaning is behind them. And so I teach a lot of parents the intentional language strategies for collaborative problem solving.
Give me
And
an example. Give me a
I would
practical
love to.
example. Yes.
So, I told you I was a nanny. I left
Yes.
that position 6 months ago to start Core 4 Parenting, found this company, and get this mission to the world. So, I went back recently and had a wonderful afternoon with the little girl that I used to nanny for. She's 4
The
at this
picture you
point.
sent me.
Hmm?
Is that the picture you sent me? The one I put on the banner, or is
No, a
not her?
different little girl,
No. All
actually.
right. Okay. Okay.
I was blessed to be her nanny from 12 weeks old, and she's now 4. So we
Right.
have this surrogate relationship, and I hadn't seen her in so long, and I was so excited, and I got her at 12:30 in the afternoon, and we got in the car, and she said to me, "Nanny Cara, do I have to take a nap today?" And I immediately knew I was in a conversation that mattered. The words that came out of my mouth next were
Mm-hmm.
going to set the tone for our afternoon, and the result that I needed was a well-rested, happy, settled kid who could have fun with me instead of kind of just giving up our normal routines and the things that we had done her whole life. And so I sat with it for a minute and I looked at her, or I looked in the rear view and said, "What do you think we should do?" And I included this 4-year-old in my conversation and my
Right.
process of decision making. And she took a deep
Fantastic.
breath and she said, "I suppose we're gonna have to do one of those things that you call compromising."
That's what she said. Wow.
Now, that answer, excuse me, that answer
Fantastic. Right.
comes
Yeah.
from years of me teaching her, this is a compromise. It's part of what I want right now and part of what you want right now. But what is going to happen after we do this is that we are both going to be really able to interact and play better together.
So, what you did is what executives you coached. You literally coached the person to find their own answer without imposing. Made them think and made them probably think what is the best for them.
Mhm. And what I notice when I work with parents who are exactly what you said, they're stressed, they're overwhelmed, their children are going to school, maybe they're not going to preschool these days because of COVID in their home. They have this job of parenting they wanna do really well. They have this job of working that they worked hard to get their job that they love, and they wanna do that really well,
Yes.
is that they overlook these years, right? 0 to 5 are the most important years in your child's life. 85% of foundational brain growth, literal growth in the brain, is done by
Mm,
5. We have an opportunity to pour strategies and problem-solving thinking and cognition and social emotional regulation strategies and interpersonal we have an opportunity to get it in while that brain is literally sponging. And yet these are the most overlooked years. I call them the invisible learning years because we count our kids out. We can't see what's happening in their brain, and so we underestimate what they're capable of.
yeah. Yeah, I can actually relate to that a lot. Sometimes we think they are kids, but they're not. Sometimes they're not just developed to communicate some things, but they 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 understand a lot. They know a lot. They yes, they see a lot of things. So what are some specific ways you talk about working parents, and as we discussed before we go live, summertime just ended. We are in autumn in Europe and in at least what I call the Western world. Summer was good in terms of COVID. The borders were open, families, people traveled. We came back. There is a new variant, Omicron, in some countries. Workers are forced to return back to home. So it's
Mhm.
the last 2 years is kind of is a roller coaster. Office, whatever, workplace, home, workplace, home, workplace, home. So, what are some specific ways that you can share with us that working parents can be more intentional about family time?
Well, first of all, let's remember, as overwhelming as all of this roller coastering is on us, it's equally or more overwhelming for our kids. So
Yeah, I know my son. If I don't bring him out a day or two, he's climbing up the wall. He's like,
exactly.
yeah,
We are able to make mental sense, even if we don't like it, about what's happening, and then adjust accordingly most of the time. Our kids don't get that. They just understand everything's different, but they don't know why. So, some really intentional strategies. Number 1, share with them how you're feeling about it.
mm-hmm,
Tell them, "I am really frustrated. First, I can go to this place. Now I can't go to this place.
uh-huh,
I wish we could go out to dinner tonight, but we can't because too many people are sick in the world." Like, emotionally connect with your own feelings about what's happening in the world and speak to your kids about it. Keep it developmentally appropriate. You know, bring the language down to whatever level your child is at. Please don't use those adult words that you would really like to because you're that upset. Uh,
yeah,
but make sure that they understand that you're experiencing it too. And then the second thing is, if we're all going to get through this together, and not just the world as a collective, but if we, that little home environment, are all going to get through this together, we have to choose a mindset and a perspective that will allow us to keep pulling ourselves back from the brink of what's the point? This is all just too hard. And so the
mm,
first 2 modules of our master coaching program, when we work with parents, are adopting this mindset and this perspective, this ability to see things from different ways while cultivating that proactive result that we are looking for. Because you don't have training. as a parent, right? Think about it. Everyone thinks they send their child to their first teacher when they go to pre-K or they go to kindergarten. Those preschool teachers and those kindergarten teachers have a lot of college debt. Why? Because they went to get trained to do what they're doing. They
Yeah,
have education behind them. They have strategies. They have
yeah.
resources. They have mentors. They have the ability to tap into something if they don't know how to handle it on their own. And that is something that you should be looking to do for yourself. And it's okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing. Can someone help me here?
Yeah. So do you think, because obviously a lot of people, work from home, work from office, that I think a lot of parents, we worry about how to spend more time with our children.
Mm,
And by default, if we are working from home, we are spending more time with our children. But is are we present?
mm, mm-hmm. You're home, but you're not here. Yeah,
Because
I hear
it's
that.
worst, actually. It's worst if you are with someone in the same room but not be present.
Absolutely. So a couple of things that I like to do in my home is literally shut the door. Right? So I do have a home office, and um, if my kids are older, but this was true way back when as well, because prioritizing the spaces and delineating what's what is really important.
Right.
When I
So just
leave,
like just like you say, it's lunchtime, dinner time. So you want kids to not to watch TV or not to run around when they're having food, right? This is the same
right,
concept.
same concept. So
You
again,
close the door.
I close the door. I do what I call make a plan, all right, with
Right.
the child, because they like to know what's coming. It helps them feel grounded and safe, and they can be more present in their moments. Um, so I'll close the door to my office when I'm out of it, right? That signifies that I am not in work mode. I am in
Right.
parent mode.
Right.
And then we'll make a plan, a 3-step plan. Okay, we need to eat lunch, and then it's playtime, and then we'll start our nap routine. I'd like you to help me choose what we're going to do during playtime.
Mm.
So again, I'm inviting the child to be part of the plan making and the process making. And if
So
for
how
some
old is the
reason,
child? Is it 2, 3 years old?
2, 3 for sure, but
So
younger
you
even.
really talk to the child as if they are a grown up.
I do.
This is the language you use, or this
Yes,
is. Mm.
yes, absolutely. Because receptive language development, right? Those neural connections that are making firing pins every single second of their from birth up, they are creating this child's language base, the lexicon from which they're going to be pulling when they can talk back to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that process is happening inside that beautiful little brain long before we're going to get any actual talking back. So I believe that we need to talk to our kids the way that we'd like to be spoken to before they talk back to us.
So just like an employee, just like a manager.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same approach, actually.
Hmm.
You don't want to scold your employee. You don't want to embarrass them. That's another thing. You don't want to embarrass. Sometimes we do it. We embarrass the kid in front of somebody, and then they run around and they hug us, and they don't want to see anybody. They're so shy, right?
Right. Right.
Mm.
And it's just like with an employee. Absolutely. You don't want to embarrass them, but you also want to create opportunities for them to take ownership and responsibility of their own choices, because that plays into a leadership role. But you have to know when to pull back and let someone really try something on their own and see what the result is. And you have to know when to come in and scoop up a little bit of support and offer it to them to help them solve the problem. I use the exact same strategies in parenting,
Mm, mm, mm,
specifically
mm.
parenting tiny people. A 9-month-old is sitting on the floor, right? And they have a toy, that toy that it's a small toy and it goes inside the bucket, right? But and the shapes go in. You know
Yes,
that
yes,
toy?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're struggling. They're trying, right? But they're not getting the result that we think is the right result. They keep
Yes.
trying, it keeps not going in, they keep moving it, they try another way.
And then we get frustrated, not the kid, right?
Absolutely. This
Yeah.
9-month-old, think about it. This is the mindset and perspective shift I'm talking about. This 9-month-old is problem solving. Oh, that didn't work. Maybe I should turn the block a different way. Oh, that still didn't work. Maybe I should move my hand a different way. That still didn't work. Here's the most amazing part. If you let them have that experience, it either will go into the bucket or it won't, and they don't care either way.
Yes.
They're having a learning experience, not a result oriented experience, because they don't know what we know or what we think is what should happen.
I think they do it. They do it in some schools. I'm not sure if it's in Japan, but before kids go to school, before they learn how to write, they give them pencils and they let them play for 6 months to first understand what the pencil can do. You know,
Absolutely.
drawing and then A, B, C, and D. So I think the point here they let them understand what this tool is all about.
So think about this from the leadership role in an executive office.
Yes.
What are the 4 skills that if you could have an employee who had them all in equal measure would be like the person you wanted to hire and pay double because they're worth it, right?
Yeah.
You want someone who can emotionally regulate. They can understand what they're feeling, they can process and observe those feelings, and they can make a response instead of a knee-jerk reaction
That's
to
right.
their coworkers. You
Yes.
want someone who can interpersonally understand the space that they're in, when to level up, when it's okay to be casual, when it's okay to have that conversation on the side with his buddy, when he needs to be ready for that presentation. You want someone who physically knows how to control their body and their space, who knows how to take care of themselves, listen to when their body is telling them they need a break, who knows how to push themselves a little bit further just to get that deadline, and you obviously want someone with a cognition, a skill set that allows them to do the job well. Those are the 4 readiness skills for kindergarten.
Right.
We are laying the foundation in the first 5 years of life for that little person to become that future employee.
As a working parent, as well as an executive, it is very easy, and I think you can resonate with this as well. It is very easy with all this uncertainty going around to feel like we are being pulled in all directions.
Mhm.
What suggestions do you have for parents? How do you consult with working parents? How do you help them create, I suppose, boundaries,
Mhm.
both psychological and physical?
Absolutely. We touched on this a little bit earlier where we need to show ourselves and commit to ourselves and to our kids when it's work time and when it's not. That's the very first step. That's the biggest boundary line that you can possibly draw. Then create routines.
Routines, right?
Create routines and structures that are predictable and have consistent outcomes when you are in family time. Because
Why
just
is a
because you're
routine important? Like, like you talk about dinner time, bath time, play time. I understand why. Why?
routines are so important, not just to our little people, to us. Think
Yes,
about it.
first of all for us, right? Yes, yes,
Yeah, we create these habitual routines that we don't even think about. We find ourselves in the Starbucks drive-thru and we're like, "How did we get here?" "Oh, right, because this is what I do every day." Um,
yes.
so routines are so important for our kids because they create emotional safety. They create predictability, and they are essentially the building block for time management.
Yes,
First we do this,
absolutely,
then we do this, then we do this. So
absolutely.
those structures in the routine are non-negotiable. The action we're doing is what it is. It's within that action, within that bath time part of the routine that you can include them and say, why don't you pick the toys for bath tonight?
So you create the routine first of all, and then you really are present in the moment.
Mhm,
Is that what
absolutely.
you're saying?
That yes, you are engaging with your child in that moment, right? Present and engaging are actually two different things. Present means
'Cause
you're just there. If your child's in the bath and you're sitting on your phone while they are splashing around with their toys,
it's pointless. Yeah, you are
that's
not
being
present.
present.
Yes,
If
that's
you're
not. Yeah,
there and you're talking about the blue duck and how it's on top of the yellow fish. And oh gosh, how does that fish feel about the blue duck? If you are engaging with your child, you are teaching them.
yeah. After this video, over the next few days, I'm gonna give you a call. I think we're gonna need your service. I mean, I do all that. Don't get me wrong, but you're taking it to a next level, because again, I apply, as I said, how this subject came today is because I was thinking about it for a long time, and you're the perfect person to talk to. Is parenting a leadership role? And the answer is it is.
Big
But just
yes.
exactly like leadership, I sometimes go to my client. Sometimes when I coach managers, the most challenging part of my one of the most challenging parts of my job is ego of the manager, because nobody wants to admit, like, why shall I take a coach,
Yeah.
because by taking a coach it means you have a problem, you're not a good manager or a leader. But I say to them, no, but leadership is a little bit like a muscle. Every now and then you need to train. The way of management not 5 years ago, just 18 months ago, were totally different
Mhm.
than it is now. So the same concept, I suppose, goes to parenting. There are a lot of tics and tactics and strategies that you're going to learn to develop a healthy child.
And you can stack them and intertwine them, and it actually becomes quite fun. But I'd like to about that ego point for 1 second. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we have one model of parenting, which is the way we were parented.
Mm-hmm.
We have this unreasonable and unachievable expectation that just because we created and birthed a child means that we should be perfect parents. It's not true. There is no perfect anywhere. So let's get the
Yeah.
ego out of parenting. And one strategy that you can use to do that, and I highly recommend it, sometimes I get pushback on it, apologize to your child when you went wrong.
Yeah. Because they will do the same. Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, I messed that up and I'm so sorry. I really shouldn't
Right.
have yelled about that. It wasn't that big a deal. Next time, I'll do better.
Yeah. Because it's like you see I don't know if you can see my the bags in my eyes, but like last night, my child at 3 o'clock, he decided he wanted to have a party, but because he dreams at night, he's natural, and then he wake up and he sleeps in another room, and I have to go a little bit, but then sometimes he wants to talk and all that. So yeah, it's we really need to keep our cool, right? To be calm, because we don't want to show our frustration to them. We don't want our child to feel like a burden. Isn't it just like an employee that doesn't get it?
Right, because an employee who doesn't get it simply doesn't get the expectation that they're
Yes,
being presented, right? Whatever the deliverable is, or whatever the
yes,
case might be in the executive world. A child who doesn't get it, similarly, does not understand what you're expecting of them. And in this particular state of life, state of the world, we can present them with different expectations and they get confused. One day, we want them to put their plate in the sink. The next day, we don't care if they put their plate in the sink because of the mood that we're in, because of the day
Ah,
that we've had,
ah.
and we're presenting them with conflicting expectation models. Another reason why routines are so vital because it takes the emotion out of it. This is just how we do it.
One of the biggest one of the bad things I suppose leaders do is you're talking about consistent messages,
Mhm.
and I've seen a lot of leaders and managers do that. But their mood swings every day. You know, they had an argument with a wife, and they go to the office moody, and so as a manager, you can't have mood swings. You have to be consistent. And I mean, and it's not easy. I understand because you're also human, but you have a responsibility. That's why you're a leader. That's why you're a manager. So I suppose the same goes with parents. We cannot
Absolutely.
care. We cannot care more one day and care less the next, right?
We can't, or we're sending mixed messages and things go south fast. The
And confuse
difference with your
kids.
executive space is if it's a well-designed and well-managed company, it kind of doesn't matter your headspace when you walk in the door because the systems and the structures and the scripts for how to do business in that office are so clear that you just start taking action on them.
Yeah, that's the ideal world, but it's not happening very often.
Well, it's not happening very often in a lot of homes either, but
Yes.
that's what the core 4 methodology does, is we set you up first with the mindset shift, then the application of perspective, then we teach you what's happening inside your baby's brain so that you're aware. Then we talk about the language development of your little people, and then we go deep into strategies, systems, and literal scripts. So
So
you don't
that's your
have to think.
GPS, right? That's your GPS program,
That is our master coaching program,
right?
all of which falls under the GPS. So we can't get anywhere in business, we can't get anywhere in life, and we can't get anywhere as parents unless we have a long-term goal. And that's just like the GPS on your car, right?
So just like a vision in the company that a leader has.
Just like the vision in the company. And then in order to get there, there's not one straight road. You're going to veer off the path. You're going to need to know how to get back on your path towards your GPS. And so I walk parents through an exercise called your parenting PMS, a parenting mission statement.
Yes.
Um, and I ask people to look at their tiny person, whether that person is 3 days, 3 years, however old that little child is, picture them all grown up. In a flash, it's over. They are now adults.
Teenager, yes.
Nope,
18 years old.
25.
Right. Okay. 25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of the house, all educated, on their own. They just landed their first big job.
Mm-hmm.
They've been working there a few weeks, and their boss flags you down at a coffee shop and says, "Aren't you Joey's dad? Aren't you Laura's mom? I just have to tell you how glad I am that your child joined our company because." And parents write down what this boss is going to say to them, and it defines the characteristics, the qualities of the human being that we have a deep desire to raise. Nobody ever says to me, because they know how to do that digital thing, that because they got straight A's in college. That's not
Yeah.
what the
No, but
boss
no one
comes over
says
to
that.
say.
Yes. No one says that. You're right.
The
And that's a powerful exercise.
It's powerful. The
I
boss
can
comes
feel
over
it.
to say, they are intentional, they're on time, they're a team player. They don't complain when there's a
Or they are an
mistake
idiot.
made.
Or they can say the other thing. But yeah. But no
What
parents will say that. So you make the parent visualize. Yes.
who they want to raise, not
Yes.
what. Not
And then
lawyer,
and then
not doctor.
and then you work backwards according to that.
Yes.
Right.
And then when we find ourselves in a struggle, we remind ourselves, what is my parenting mission statement? I'll tell you mine. I wrote it 21 years ago when I was pregnant with my first. My parenting mission statement is to raise healthy, happy human beings who are socially well adjusted. They are conscious and capable of being a powerful force in the world. They can own their own choices and their own consequences. It goes on. When I'm in the middle, of a negotiation with a 3-year-old where they're digging in their heels and it's loud, that's what I had to remind myself.
Right.
Who am I desiring to raise, and which skill set from what I just listed can I teach them a lesson on today?
It's very similar to executive coaching. One of the things that I do when a leader comes in, first of all, they do a leadership dashboard, which has a mission, the
Mhm.
vision, and so on. So it's actually exactly the same, just the content is different.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the business of raising children, essentially.
Essentially, yes, and a lot of, and especially a lot of in the corporate world nowadays, the role of a corporate leader has changed.
Mm.
Um, it needs to be more like a coach. It needs to be more like a parent. It needs to be somebody who holds the hands of their employee. I'm not talking about babysitting, but somebody
Mhm.
who, as you said, is emotional intelligent, uh, to first of all, as a manager, to control themselves, to regulate themselves, but be able to identify their people's emotions and feelings and coach them through. Because a lot of people, a lot of employees, they're going through different feelings. Maybe, they have some friends who are not around anymore, or they have some, because I know, like, so unfortunately, two of my previous staff from 5 years ago,
Mm.
due to COVID, they are not here anymore. So that affected me. So a manager really needs to be there for its people, right?
So we've been talking about the environment in the home, right? The nature versus the nurture experience. In the corporate world, it's exactly the same. We just call it company culture.
Yes, exactly. It's company culture. Yes.
And you have to make time for that. You have to shut the doors of the offices. You all have to go into the great room or whatever it is in that co-working space that you have, and you have to make time for company culture,
So home culture.
home culture.
Excellent. So for the ones that are watching, or the ones that they will be watching this video, if you want to learn about leadership, management, executive coaching, you come to me. The website is there. But if you really want to learn about how to coach, how to develop probably the most important environment, which is more important than your work, your family, they come to you. So how can we find you? What's the website? And if you can share some details before we wrap up.
Absolutely. So, if you are interested in this parenting personal development meets early childhood development journey, which is what we offer,
Mm-hmm.
you can find us at core4parenting.com. It's the number 4
Right.
in there. We're at core4parenting on all the socials. And I would invite you to use a special link that I'm going to provide to hop on a quick 15-minute call with me, and we can talk, because I am reopening the next the next session of our master
Batch.
coaching program, and that will
Mm-hmm.
be starting in April. So we have some time to really get to know each other, for you to explore my stuff and see if this is a methodology and a mindset that matches for you.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be a client for sure. So if after the call, actually, we should have posted now. But if after the call, if you can please drop me the your website. I think I have it on the content and
Mhm.
the link. Then I'm gonna put it as a content. I'm gonna post it as a content on the as a comment. I'm gonna post it as a comment on the video so people can reach out from there.
Fantastic.
So
Yes.
your final thoughts, final suggestions, over, I don't know, 1 minute or so.
Yeah. My final thoughts are, um, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Go find yours. Now it has to be done virtually. We actually built one. It's called our virtual village. And don't attempt this alone. You need to be in community with like-minded parents who feel similarly on the great days and feel similarly on the hard days. They'll hold you accountable to your parenting mission statement, and they'll help you get to your GPS.
Excellent. Fantastic. Cara, thank you very much.
Thank you. I love
It was a
talking about
pleasure.
this.
I learned a lot over the last 40 minutes, which I'm gonna apply straight away. I'm actually just about to go to the gym, but I might apply some questioning techniques now to my family to see what is the plan to get them engaged and involved. So, and about yeah, because you see, my I normally do it in the morning, but I didn't stick to my schedule today, so it's my mistake. So I want to take responsibility. So your chat with me over the last 40 minutes kind of put me back on track, because we need, we need from time to time to be held accountable. We are humans,
Mhm.
and sometimes we need to admit and show vulnerability and learn from it and move on.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah, yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, well, no, I'm honest. I'm honest. I really learned a lot. So I will be reaching out to you to be involved in April. So again, thank you very much. Honor and a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to talk to you again, maybe in a couple of weeks' time, 2, 3 weeks' time, um, to maybe talk about something more specific about parenting, something that maybe you teach in the course.
I'd love to do that. That would be
Excellent.
wonderful.
Excellent. Have a good day, right? Yeah.
Have
Enjoy your
yes.
enjoy your lunch, and I'm about to have dinner soon. Thank you. Take care.
Take very good care.
Bye for now. Bye bye.
Bye.